Hi, I'm Maggie, and Joe is with me filming. We're from Average Joe's RV Living blog, and we're here today talking to George and Marilyn Gough. They are staying at the same park as we are, Catalina Spa RV Resort in Desert Hot Springs. And we're talking today about paying it forward. And one of the things that we wanted to ask George and Marilyn about was they did some volunteering while they were on the road coming down from Vancouver, Canada to Desert Hot Springs. And I thought it was just an amazing story and something that people don't think enough to do, and we have the time to do it, so why wouldn't it? So
Sure.
tell us what you did in California.
Sure. How about I'll lead off?
You
and
lead
then
off.
Can tell
It was
some
your
more
idea,
details. Sure.
after all.
Yeah. So, start. Okay. Yeah, when we were coming down, we had a 2-week window that we didn't really have a need to fill. And we heard the stories about the fires in Paradise. And we dropped into, what was the name of the little town?
Chico.
Yeah.
Chico.
And Chico was chaotic. And so we decided to go down to Gridley, which is where there was another RV or...
There was a camp.
yeah.
What do you call it? Anyway, there were campers throughout the Walmart.
Well, that's in Chico.
In Chico.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
so
that's right.
chaotic that...
Yeah.
And we heard that the Red Cross had their news station set up down in Gridley. So anyhow, we went down there. We parked on the street, went in and asked them if they might need any help. And I think in 5 minutes we were fully drafted. We had they had the paperwork done.
We thought we weren't going to work until the next day.
Yeah.
And George came out and said, "We're hired. Let's get in there."
Wow.
And
Yeah.
by the way, part of the background behind this is both of us as retired people realize that there's spaces in your schedule when you don't have things to do, and what better way to spend that time than helping others. And I'll tell you, for every ounce of effort you put into it, you get 2 ounces back in heartfelt thanks from the people. But that's kind of end play dialogue. But certainly, yeah. So anyhow, so we got assigned to the clothing table, which was really cool because it was like being Santa Claus. We basically were given all this clothing, shoes, boots, under everything that a person could use. And these people that we were serving had been completely wiped out. They'd literally left the door of their home with nothing, zero.
Just their pets,
Heartbroken.
if they were able to get those.
Just their pets. So here we were treating them at the table. We were trying to be upbeat, trying to be friendly, and Marilyn is so good at that sort of thing. So why don't you tell a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, with your background in social work would
exactly.
be a perfect fit.
Yeah. It was a really... I was glad George came up with the idea because we were watching the TV and just feeling so bad for these folks who'd lost everything.
Yeah.
And they were a lot of people who never made it out of Paradise. And that's so tragic, because many of the people we met had tried to clear the town by any means they could. One fellow on an ATV because all the traffic was jammed. And he tried to put people on the back of his ATV, run them out to a safe spot, back for more, and it was truly a tragic thing. But
and the big story were the animals too. Yeah. Like we heard, one girl that we served had, I think it was 8 cats in her house. And she was trying to gather them up as the flames were literally at the back door. And she would put a couple of cats in the cage, and one would run out, as cats will do. And so she was trying to gather them, and they kept running away. And this guy said to her, he said, "We've got to get out of here. We're literally, the roof is now on fire. We've got to get out of here." Mm-hmm. And she said, "Well, what am I going to do about my cats?" And he said, "Leave the door open. They will have to take care of them. Exactly, they'll take care of themselves." And so that's what she spent when we were at the Red Cross. She sat at the computer. They had an animal shelter or a rescue center, and they had hundreds of animals. sheep, goats, chickens, dogs, cats, every kind of animal you could ever think of.
But I wanted
yeah,
to just say
yeah.
for anybody who wants to do this sort of thing, it says, George says, you get it back twofold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we felt that we camped actually right where many of the survivors were.
In tents.
Yeah. And it was pouring rain in Northern
Yeah.
California.
Right. I remember those
yeah.
The
days.
grounds got like a sea of mud. I felt so bad for these folks. Not
Yeah.
only did they have all that, going
Yeah.
against them, but anyway, it was, I thought, a really good experience for us, a real learning experience.
Now,
And
you're Canadians volunteering
Absolutely.
in the U.S.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the Red Cross made it easy for
they
you to
made it
enroll.
very easy
Easy.
for us.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I really think, too, Maggie, that there's so much negativity around us these days, and we divide ourselves into so many tribes by
Yeah.
borders, by everything.
Exactly.
That we're really all just people, and we need to remember that, and we have the same needs, and important to pitch in and help when you can, because we may need it someday.
Yep.
And this is us paying it forward, and we try to do this on most trips we go on.
Yep,
We
yeah.
find places to volunteer, like the for an animal shelter, or
Yeah, Marilyn volunteers at an
Right.
animal shelter in Surrey, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, because we always think of, when we're in our home cities, I
Yeah.
took my dog into the hospitals and
right,
Yeah.
we
right.
did
Yeah.
rounds.
Right,
But now that
right.
we're on the road, I don't think of doing that
Right,
with him.
right.
And I
Yeah.
probably can't, but there's other things
Yeah.
that I can be doing.
Yeah.
It was also, something as simple as just donating blood. We did
Absolutely.
that when we were down here, and they
Absolutely.
were telling us in this area of California only 3% of the eligible
Yeah.
donation population actually
Right.
comes in and
bet.
contributes. So they were
Right.
very
And
excited.
Well, and
yeah,
Maggie,
yeah.
that's a very good point, is
Yeah.
that when you travel, think about where you're traveling. We've always been welcomed with open arms by the American
Yeah.
folks down here,
Yeah,
and when we go to
absolutely.
Mexico, by the Mexicans, and look around the community, see what they might need, where you could fit in. Everybody has a different...
And that reminds me, last winter we spent the winter in Punta de Mita, Mexico, which is just north of Puerto Vallarta, and we both volunteered with of an organization called Peace, and both of us volunteered to teach or help teach ESL. And there
Nice.
again, it was a wonderful experience. Marilyn took on the little preschoolers, and they were so cute. They would greet her. They would run up to her and put their arms around her legs.
They were really
And-
sweet.
And
But-
I had the
yeah.
older students called Campeones, the champions, and I was helping refine their English skills. And they were so nice. The kids would come up and say nice things. And and when the last day they brought me a cake, and the kids wrote little personal notes.
Oh, that
George,
was so
this
touching.
is
I
what you
know.
did for me.
He sat
You-
at the table
I
reading
told-
them with little tears.
I
Yeah.
told there were two girls in the class that were really, really good students. They were so smart, and they were coming along. And I made a point to compliment them on their English. And one girl wrote to me. She said, "George, I've always been afraid to speak English, and because of the compliments you gave me, I feel more comfortable and more confident in speaking English." So there again, just another
Nice.
just do this little trail of good deeds.
And what you get back, is huge.
and hopefully
Yeah.
it compensates for the misdeeds that I do occasionally.
Well, if you're thinking it in a lot of communities down here
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
quite often schools need somebody to help strengthen the children's English skills, the Hispanic kids. And when I went to help the ESL teacher, I said, "How can I help? I don't have enough Spanish to be able to help teach kids English." And she said, no, I want them to know that you can't speak Spanish. Because then it'll push them, as they get to know you and trust you and build a relationship, it'll push them to say
Wow.
things in English.
And
So-
another thing that you have tagged into is the animal shelter side of things. I mean, last night we were on a street in Palm Springs, and Marilyn, we went by an animal shelter stall, and you went over and gave a few bucks, and then you talked to them about doing some volunteer work, because all these poor little animals they need help, they need love,
Need to
they
be fed and cleaned
Yeah,
and all
that
yeah,
kind of
exactly. And she does that at home at Sally Farm. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing your experience
Yeah,
with us,
yeah.
or experiences with us. It's amazing how many opportunities there are to do really good
Yeah.
things as part of
Absolutely.
this journey. So
As you are,
Absolutely.
which we thank you for doing.
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, that's right. You guys are kind of paying it forward through your videos. You're
Absolutely.
taking information and passing it on to other people, and
Absolutely.
wonderful. So we're all doing our little bit.
Our little bits.
Our little
Exactly.
bit, yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
So thanks for watching, and please help us grow our channel by liking and subscribing. See you next time.
See you next time.